roll call.
Smith,
Yes.
Sherman, Glass,
Yes.
Hanson,
Here.
Tucker,
Here.
Fisher, Swallow. Yes, I'm here.
And if we look at the minutes from October the 12th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Roll call.
Smith,
Yes.
or do I go Glass, Tucker,
First, you've already got five. Second.
I know.
And then go.
Okay. Glass,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Swallow. Yes.
And if we look at the financials,
Kelly, push next to that budget. Good budget, page one. I don't see it on this. On this one.
Oh, it was, so when we talked to Crawford, it's just a report that automatically spits out of Encode. It really didn't have any real data on it. It wasn't any, it was irrelevant. It's not related to your actual budget. And it just, she didn't realize that it was giving us all those extra pages. Is that your understanding?
That was my understanding.
Okay. I will say, as you look at the financial, that we are at, we should be at 33% of our annual budget, and we're at 36% on revenue, so we're ahead of schedule on revenue just a little bit, and we're at 19% of expenditures. But a lot of those expenditures are going to be capital outlay items, which we haven't done, but we're still on pretty good track with budget.
Anything, Courtney?
I don't have anything. I do have a meeting with, another meeting. No, I don't. No, what I'm saying is that, like, we had talked about our utilities kind of being high. I do have a meeting tomorrow with OG&E to kind of go over what's going on with our golf course and things like that. So hopefully we'll figure something out. But everything else, everything else looks pretty good.
On that front page, the revenue summary, what is the miscellaneous? What's that?
Oh wait, are you on the, which,
The very front, the revenue summary is the very front page.
$210.
Yeah.
mine's cut off.
So then the year-to-date actual is 420. That's different.
That miscellaneous looks like it's part of the hay agreement, because they paid $210. So that's gotta be what that is. And they may have paid last year's into this year's budget, or in the fiscal year, so that's why it says the 420, but
Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the. If you look at turn that page over there at the bottom, it'll say field hay,
Got
the
it.
210, so.
I make a motion to
and seconded to approve the financials. Roll call.
Glass,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Swam. Yes.
Courtney?
I don't have a whole lot to report. They did finish our roof and it does look a lot better. It's a lot tighter. It's overlapped a lot better. They did put new paneling on. They didn't go in and just take that off and use the same paneling, so that was good. We do have some window issues that they were supposed to be here this week to come look at. Both windows on each end of the building. It's like they said the building's kind of settling, so it's pulling the windows away from each other and away from the wall. So they've got to figure out how they're going to fix that. So hopefully the window people come up with that. Competitive basketball will start this Saturday. We did end up with 38 teams. I'll let Tatum kind of go over the other youth adult sports stuff that we have going on there.
We just have sign-ups for rec league basketball going on. Our numbers are climbing for those. They started off a little slow, but they're getting there. And then we have adult co-ed volleyball going on Wednesday nights. And then we'll start women's league after the first of the year for volleyball. I think that's it for rec league. We won't start soccer until March. We'll start rec league basketball December 10th.
A few things not with the rec center, but like down at Hatfield Park. Mark and some of the street guys, they kind of cleared out the pond a little bit on the south side, and he's going to end up taking out all of those other trees that have grown up on the south end of the pond, the park, on the pond. They did fix the water pump that pumps water down into that, and so it doesn't pump real fast, doesn't pump a lot, but there is water slowly getting to the pond. It'll just take a while to get back up where we need it, but he's done a real good job down there. You remember?
I get to,
They
I was looking
fixed
through my
some
email,
of
but I
that.
think they got the playground safety issue.
Yeah, the safety
Yeah.
issue on the south end of the playground, we fixed all that. He's working, there was a broken slide that he is trying to repair. He's hoping to repair it so we don't just go buy a brand new one. So if that holds up, then it'll save us the time we want to buy a new one there, so.
You talked about the chain.
No, we are going to put a chain gate. Instead of a gate, it'll be a chain that's put up on the, when you come around the pond, there's a drive that goes back behind the pond and kind of back up by the cemetery, and some teenagers have found that as to be a nice little party spot. So we are going to chain that off, and so no cars can travel back there. Now, if they want to hike up there, I guess they can, but we're going to chain it off and close that off back up in there, and it'll have a padlock and stuff on it, so that all emergency personnel and everybody else will have access to get up there if they need it. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
Found our place.
What about our softball?
Chris Green, he couldn't find that particular one, so I talked to him yesterday. Yesterday I talked to him. He's going to try to get it fixed the first of next week. He couldn't get to it before. Yeah, he couldn't get to it before this weekend. So I think we're going to cone it off. That way it's safe for this weekend. The rye's coming up real good, and the outfields of, the baseball field, softball fields, it's looking real good. We have a couple small leaks, but Zest is getting on those and fixing them. So everything's pretty smooth.
What do we have from city council?
Let me do it.
Go ahead and I'll just fill in.
Okay. We appointed Dr. Garrett Lahr to fulfill Connor's spot on the council. We recognized 8 different employees, mostly from water and sanitation, for the jobs that they have done this summer. Heather was also the other one that we included in that. We approved a purchase agreement with Community National Bank for equipment for the fire department. We approved to sell Wheeler Brothers Grain some property to expand their operation. We approved a resolution to OWRB for water meter project. That was pretty detailed, so I shortened that one up. We approved a resolution to fund holiday events and projects as requested by the citizens of Alva. And we interviewed and briefly negotiated with the potential city manager, but she chose not to take the position. So we're back to square one.
We have received word as far as the water meter funding. We've, I don't know, I find it interesting how they do this, but they give you a notification. Apparently they send out one that says you don't qualify, and then they send out another one that says, nope, you do qualify, but we aren't going to tell you that you approved or qualified for a certain amount. And then, so we're waiting on another letter that the engineers and the bond council, tell me that we're, basically in line, and that we're going to be getting another letter that says that we've been approved for the $800,000 to $1 million for the water meter project. So, that was one of the items that had to happen in order for that project to go through. But Stephanie's working on a lot of different grants for the city, and even out here. So, we're kind of waiting to see how all it falls out. If you know anybody that has a good head on their shoulders and likes to work hard, I've got a job. Business manager, so send them my way. We're probably going to start a new statewide search again because it's been 6 months since our last one. And
What was this person from and why did they not?
they didn't feel like they were up for the challenge. They're pretty green, not a lot of experience. It was going to be a significant increase in duties and responsibilities than what they've had previously. And so I don't fault her for having that, but I will tell you guys, we have a lot of resources in place to help somebody figure this position out and learn how to do it and do it right. And so we don't necessarily have to have a ton of experience. And if you've got a good head on your shoulders and work hard, we can probably bring you along if it looks like the person would be a good fit. The business manager in Guthrie has committed to spend quite a bit of time with us. He's fixing to retire. We would offer him the job full time if he would take it, and he's not interested in going full-time employment after he's retired. So, but he's got a wealth of experience and knowledge, and I'll make a commitment to as long as I'm there, I'll continue to help a new person with the day-to-day or whatever until they're up to speed. So I mean, right now, as far as the city of Alva is concerned, from a business manager hiring standpoint, we've got more resources in place to help somebody be successful than we've ever had. And so it should be a really good opportunity for somebody, and hopefully we'll find that person that's interested in it.
The water meters that are non-functional, don't work. How long have they been?
2018.
Is there any recourse on those?
There are a number of class action lawsuits against the company, and we're evaluating our.
They're not back up yet?
No, I think they probably. I haven't seen the filing, but there's no way they can afford everything. We'd be in line.
You're gonna have to put me on city payroll if I have to keep reading mine for you. Just FYI.
Surely that makes your bill a little better.
Well, it makes it a lot better than what they're proposing it was.
It looks like we'll be able to go out for bid real quick on that. Are there any other questions?
Just like everybody else, I want to know why my water bill's been so high this summer. But that's for another discussion. Okay. Who is going to do the discussion on the CDs?
I'll do it. So we talked last month about maybe taking some of our cash and getting a little interest off of it if we could. I went to 3 of the local financial advisors and then the local banks for rates. The local financial advisors, when I talked to them, they really indicated that the banks are better suited for this and that they weren't interested in giving us a rate quote on CDs. And so you have in your packet the listing of the bids and where everybody landed. Alva State Bank, and it didn't matter whether it was a 12-month, 6-month, 500,000 or 250,000. Alva State Bank was at a APR and APY 3.9 and 3.7. So really, prior to the meeting starting, you were wanting to know the existing CDs, and we have 2 that are listed in our financial sheet. The first one, 2299, for $218,847. It is currently at a 1.25% rate, and it has a maturation of January 29th of 23. The other CD, 479-0076 for $221,036.85 is at a 0.67 rate, and it matures at January 20th, 2023. As far as, how much should the board, invest, how much, can it afford to invest, and at what rate? The Alva State Bank was the best rate. So I think when we do it, we just need to determine whether we want to go 12 months or 6 months, and then 500,000 or 250,000. That would leave you with about 127,000 in the cash account for the AEDA, for the rec, Parks and Rec, and that would be more than enough to get you through to January of 2023. In the event you wouldn't want to reinvest those CDs. So you could do the whole $500,000. You could do it for 12 months, I think, and come January you could determine whether or not you need to continue investing in the others at that rate or at that time. So, I don't have a preference. Obviously, the more you put in, the more you get.
Yeah. Any discussion? Greg?
My only suggestion would be go 6 months. They say they're going to keep raising interest rates. Whether they will or not, who knows? But that way, if they did continue to raise them,
When it's the same rate, there's no reason to extend it further.
Be my own suggestion. Put 500 in for 6 months.
Put that in the form of a motion.
I'd make a motion to accept Alva State Bank's offer of 3.9 for 6 months on $500,000 deposit.
It's been moved and seconded to put $500,000 for 6 months in Alva State Bank at 3.90%.
Black,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Okay, discussion and action to approve Alva Standard Letter Agreement, Task 1.
So, in the agreement from Kimley Horn, they actually put together basically three tasks. There's 2 tasks and then a subtask. One is for the Hatfield Park Master Plan, and that's what we're considering on this agenda item, would be to approve the scope of services for the Hatfield Park Master Plan and then the funding. The scope of services is going to include, if any of you participated in the public engagement and in that part of the pool master plan, it's going to be that same process. We're going to involve, with Kimley Horn and our contractor is going to involve various age groups at different times and identify those features and amenities that are desired for the master plan for Hatfield Park. They'll go through that process. They'll work with our staff and committee, and ultimately come back to the table with a master plan for approval by the board and then council. The price on the task 1 for Hatfield Park is $49,500, and at the last meeting of the Friends of Play, they voted to fund half of that, up to half of that.
25, I think it was 25,000.
Yeah, and so, I would, but they didn't want to fund more than the board did, is what I understood.
Yeah.
So, half is $24,750. And from a budget standpoint, that would be able to come either out of reserves, or it could come out of capital equipment or capital expenditures budget, and even there's opportunity to have some funds maybe from the general fund as well, because the park is new on your plate since you made the budget. So there is budget available, at least in administration in the general budget, because we have not been paying a city manager, at least not a full-time one. We have been having some consulting fees and stuff like that. So, wherever, when it comes down to how the budget fares as we move along, we can do some budget amendments and do whatever we need to do with that. Of course, your opinion on that would matter to me. So it's
Hoping no cost outlay until the latter half this fiscal year anyway.
right. We won't pay for any of it until they're done. The master plan.
We won't have any cost outlay until the latter half of this fiscal year. Probably getting pretty close to the end.
Anything to add?
I think it will take them probably again 4 to 6 months to do it. There's quite a bit to be done in Hatfield Park in terms of the built environment, and then the landscape part of the environment. We do have some historic landscaping, but we want to try and protect that insofar as possible, and they'll identify all of the existing underground lines and piping, etc. But there may not be a map of that right now, but we will have at the end of it. So we've asked Friends of Play to hold back on installation of any further equipment until we get this done, and we've got some water mitigation work to be done on the south end that gets pretty boggy when we do have rain. I don't know what all they'll need to do, and then we've got some repair work to do on the rock stairs coming down into the park from the south entry. We've got some repair work on the rock wall around the cairn, and there's some cracks in it as well that needs addressed. So this is what's been needed for a long time. And then it will provide a blueprint for everything going forward.
And we need motion to approve paying that, correct?
Motion to approve task 1, and then we will work with the Friends of Play to secure their contribution to the effort.
I move to approve the Alva Standard Letter Agreement, Task 1 with Kimberly Horn for Master Plan Development at Hatfield Park, in an amount not to exceed $49,500.
Actually, though, we need to work on a little bit differently because it would just be half of that for us. I mean, that's how it's worded there, but we need to specify that we're not going to be paying out the $49,500 for Mark.
Well,
But it says not to exceed.
it does say not to exceed, and I think we will write the check to Kimberly Horn.
Yeah, it'll all come
Okay,
from, yeah.
just making sure.
But you all will get, they will do a contribution, and then the city will do a request for release of funds process. Or you will.
We'll send a letter to Friends of Play that the board has approved this and that we will accept their contribution. And if they need an invoice or whatever they need, we'll get them the paperwork that they need to be able to do that.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to, all of that.
Hanson,
Yes.
Glass,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Okay, discussion and action on the National Register nomination for Hatfield Park.
Talked to the design firm that is going to handle this piece for us. Spur Design out of Oklahoma City. The historian who will actually do the work is the same one who did the nomination, research, and documentation for the park, or for the pool. So he's already familiar with the park and all of the structures. We took a lot of photographs. He and I have conversed multiple times with resources that I have. And so he's essentially, I think, probably a good quarter of the way through the process. When we talked today, he felt like he could probably get the nomination paperwork completed and to State Historic Preservation Office by January for them to put on their calendar for consideration at their March meeting, which is the timeline that would serve us well. We want to go ahead and be working toward the development of recreational trails application for submission in January of '24. It will take us 13 months, 14 months to get that done. So this is part of the process. They are expecting, when I say they, National Park Service is expecting cultural resources reviews to be completed prior to the submission of applications, and this satisfies that requirement. So we should be well on our way in 13 months to submitting another major grant out for hopefully the walking trail process from the pool down into the park. I don't know what the cost will be exactly, but I would hope that we could get it at least to the intersection of the east-west, north-south streets. in the park, and maybe even further. So I don't know how much it costs to do concrete, but anyway, I would recommend that this be pursued, and they sent a draft letter of $8,000 to do the National Register nomination, which we paid $5, if I recall, for the pool. And Hatfield Park is substantially larger with a greater variety, diversity of resources that has to be documented. So I think that's a fair proposal. Yes.
Have somebody write this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the National Register nomination. It's 25, 50 pages, and a ton of research goes into that, photography, and they have to document everything that's there.
It kind of, when we went through this process with the pool, it kind of set the stage on us being able to qualify and move forward with the big $500,000 grant.
Yeah. Whenever you're requesting federal money for anything, you have to know going into it that you're going to be expected to do what's called a Section 106 review, which is part of the federal government's National Historic Site, so that you don't tear up a historic resource in the process of expending federal money. So by having a National Register nomination done, then you already know where your natural resources, your historic resources, all of that, where they are, and then you know what to do, to what degree you can mitigate issues, and it's just part of the process. It has to happen.
So that can be something that the city can transfer over.
So do we need to approve funds or just moving forward with the process at this
It
point?
says discussion and action on
The-
National Register nomination.
The amount is within my spending limit. So, with the board's blessing, I'll just move it forward.
They could get they sent the draft of the proposal today so that we would have a figure, and then they said depending on what you all voted to do, they could just turn right around with the formal document, get it to mayor's office, and they can actually get this underway and ready to submit in January.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Been moved and seconded to move forward with National Register nomination for Hatfield Park.
Glass,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Any other discussion on anything?
I would recommend tonight at 7, if you don't have anything going, Mick Cornett is speaking in EC 109, and he has a history of promoting health, wellness, parks and recreation. They're big on his agenda. He's speaking in the Education Center at 7 o'clock tonight. I would recommend that. He spoke at the college board at 1.
I've attended conferences where he's, given the keynote, and he's outstanding.
He's an advocate for things like what we're doing here. That's good for all of that.
He kind of initiated the whole, yes, maps have been passed prior to his tenure, but he pushed that, a lot with community, neighborhood-based, recreational
He knows what we're going through. It's just a much larger scale in Oklahoma City, but he's got a solid leader, as I've been able to know.
I hope we had a lot of students go, did they?
Had a good turnout.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Hopefully more than
There you go. Got a whole herd of them. Might service them.
There's nothing else, and we are adjourned.